My name is Kelsey. I bought a house last year and have been documenting the work to reinvigorate and, at times, redo the gardens. I'm definitely a beginner, so many of the plants, tools, and tasks were entirely new to me, but armed with my never-ending to-do lists, my mom's advice, and my quintessential stance to go big or go home, I dove in. These videos capture my first gardens. Alright, so I'm starting with the patio. This is a main entrance to the house, so I knew I wanted it to be one of my first projects. But it didn't always look like that. Yikes. When we moved in, the gardens were overgrown. It's hard to say, but I don't think that they were being actively managed for at least 3 to 4 years. My aunt gifted me hedge trimmers as a housewarming gift, and one of my first projects was to free this south-facing corner from the yew. I loved how happy it was, but it was growing through the porch railing, and we really needed access to the faucet that was behind it. I decided to take it all the way out. Do a 180 from the recently departed shrub, and you can see our walkway flower bed. While there were definitely some keepers, hostas, Lenten Rose, iris, and an oak leaf hydrangea, amongst all the chaos, this bed showed the extent of our issues. Lots of weeds and even more stickers. We tried to uncover the bed layer by layer to make sure that we could save things that we wanted to keep. One thing we discovered was that there were so many bugs that it required a mid-project reapplication of bug spray. As the fall cleanup wound down, I knew that I would need a burst of color come spring to raise my spirits, and to help me feel like I was looking at an exciting project space and not just a barren piece of land that I tore up the year before. So we planted tulips. Literally 800 tulips. This became this, and this became this, and this, and this. If there's one thing you can learn from tulips, it's that beauty is fleeting.
The tulips are done.
And just like that, they were gone.
These tulips are also done, not looking great.
And so we planted again with high hopes for summer. Having spent the winter discovering the ins and outs of seed starting in the basement, we had a wealth of seedlings looking for new homes. These were planted alongside anything that sparked joy from the nursery. So this is the summer walkway flower bed. The Caladiums were a nursery purchase, and they're surrounded by our resident hostas, peachberry ice coral bells, Lenten Rose, and a bank of red Coleus, which has been amazing, but next year I would definitely seek out a heat-tolerant variety. And then these are the Bidens, my new favorite flower. I fell in love with them this year because of how densely and for how long they bloomed. There's an iris that we removed during the fall cleanout and immediately replanted. Still didn't bloom for us this year, though. We included some Supertunia Vista Snowdrift, which have done okay for a part shade spot, and also went to town with 2 types of Morning Glory. You can't really see it, but it's growing up at trellis. There's also a Cafe Cream Foxglove that we started from seed, and behind it some Dianthus and some Salvia. This is another Morning Glory. These plants are beasts. I understand why everybody told us not to plant them, but they finally bloomed, and now they have these petals that when they're closed have this cool spiral pattern, which I think is really cool, and I just generally love the height that they've given to this space. On the patio, we mainly have planters. The 2 evergreens are patio box hollies, surrounded by euphorbia and Supertunia Bordeaux. The planter closest to us is a mix of Calibrachoas, as is the one behind it, but it also has some Nasturtium seeds that a sneaky little fairy snuck in. The other side is more of the same, and then there's also an aloe plant that I picked up at a local grocery store. Could not resist the temptation. Then there was more euphorbia and Supertunia Bordeaux, more Calibrachoas, and I, too, like all of you, cannot resist the charms of an apricot, peach-colored Superbina in Peachy Keen. And then there's this patio set, which I actually purchased before I bought the house for the patio. Long story. And white pillar rows of Sharons that have budded up super nicely, but bloomed really late for us, so I'm wondering if that's typical of the variety. And you can tell that the 2 on the outsides are a bit taller. We planted them in fall, and I planted the one in the center in the spring. Then on the side we have some Silverberry Ice Supertunias, which has just added a lot of whimsy to these corners. A few more planters full of Lantana, Bacopa, and some blueberry plants. And then our Spirea, and they did not always look like this. Maybe you could tell from the flashback sequence, but these were looking pretty mangy. I cut them down to about 8 to 12 inches tall, and they just overwintered as sticks. We really didn't know if that was the right thing to do, but it served us so well, because now they don't droop so far onto the patio, and they still produced their beautiful pink seed heads in spring. Can you see the difference in size? They still hide the exhaust vent, which is really key. So moving on, we have some small strawberries that I started from seed, and an herb garden. I know I shouldn't let my dill go to seed, but who can resist that flower head? In the raised bed, we also have basil, oregano, parsley, thyme, rosemary. I don't think we have thyme. I think I made that up. I think mint instead. And then around the corner, we have a verbena and sweet potato vine combination that replaced a seriously 5-foot tall rose. Something about the absolute aggressiveness of the sweet potato vine mixed with the ethereal, just floppiness of the verbena has really worked for us. There's also Supertunia Mini Vista White, and where the U used to be, our beloved hose link. And that's the whole patio. This is the view from the door, and it's my favorite place to come when I need a moment to decompress. It feels like stepping out into a storybook. There are definitely things that I wouldn't repeat, cough cough morning glory, but there are way more things that I would do again. I'd love to know what you guys think. Let me know. And thanks for watching. Like Hosta's Lenten Rose, Iris, and an oak leaf hydrangea, oh my